This show is brought to you by HostBaby.com, web hosting for musicians.
You've got mail. That's right. Here on episode 35 of Music Marketing Monday, we do have mail, reader mail, your questions, and our answers. That's a great combination for this episode. So stay tuned. Let's get to it.
Information, inspiration, motivation for the modern musicpreneur.
Time to start your week right.
Here it comes. Music Marketing Monday with your host, Bob Baker,
Mr. Buzz Factor,
and Billy Gryzak.
The Music Marketing Mind.
Ready? Are you sure?
Set.
Here it comes. Swing, baby.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. No, this is not an Emerson, Lake and Palmer concert. This is Music Marketing Monday, and I am Billy Gryzak, the Music Marketing Mind, with
Bob Baker, Mr. Buzz Factor. I wasn't sure which one I was going to say first. I went, you're Bob Baker.
Yeah, well, hey, you're here, and you sound better.
Yes, but I'm still a little clogged up, man. This thing is hanging on, but, you know, the show must go on. And so hopefully, as long as it doesn't cloud my thinking.
That's cool. Hey, so last week we asked our faithful followers, friends, fans, if they wanted to communicate with us, ask questions, make comments, things of that nature, and we got some responses. So I think maybe we should just kind of dig right into these today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you remember, we do actually bribe people because, you know, sometimes, you know, people are busy, you know, we all got things going on, our full plates, but we bribe people and we said, you know, the first person to leave us a speak pipe message, an audio message, you offered to give them $1.
$1. So I am $1 poorer, but we're all going to be richer for that.
Absolutely, and I think I offered to give an ebook of their choice that I will send, and that is the one you want to start off with, right?
Yeah, so let's do that right away. So please, guys, use the speak pipe thing. It is really awesome. We get to hear you, and let's get right to it. Here you go.
Yo, Mr. Billy, Mr. Buzz Factor. What's going on, fellas? I hope all is well in your world. My name is Daryl, a.k.a. Great Brilliance. You can find me at Great Brilliance on Twitter. I work with a few artists, and I'm doing a few things in that realm, so we have something in common in that sense. But I just had a quick question. I wanted to know, what is your recommendation for an artist just starting out, no fan base other than his mom and his family or whatever the case may be, no fan base? How do they start to get those first initial fans? Because I'm really, really tired of people mentioning me on Twitter, and you know, and then you go to their timeline and you see all the spam links of check out my music, and the whole nine. And I mean, I just see so many people online doing it the wrong way, and you know, and I always try to engage them and talk to them and say, you know, why should I listen? What's going on? Actually, I got that idea from you, Mr. Billy. But yeah, I just love to know what do you think is the right way to start and the right way to get your first fans? Thank you. Appreciate all you do, fellas. Later.
So first, let's thank Daryl, a.k.a. Great Brilliance, for leaving that thoughtful, articulate message. He's obviously a fan of the show, which we appreciate, because he even made references to things that we did, in prior episodes. So that's very cool. And I gave you a shout out, Billy. So yeah, so this is a good question. Do you get this one very often, Billy?
Every day.
Every day, so that would be fairly often. Yeah, so when you're starting from scratch, no fan base, where do you start? Well, of course, I have some ideas. We haven't even compared notes, but would you like me to go first? Or?
When do we ever compare notes, Bob?
We really don't. And that's the beauty of it, is you're hearing this, folks, as it unfolds organically. We're not reading from notes. There's no bullet points, no agenda. We're
not even looking at each other. Bob's been staring at the same stupid picture of me for 6 months, man. It looks like I'm blowing him a kiss.
It does. I feel very connected to you as a result. But yeah, our only agenda is to serve you, the listening public, the listeners of this podcast. So Daryl, in his message, he did mention the friends and family, and he sort of mentioned it as almost like blowing it off or whatever. Of course, friends and family. But beyond that, how do you attract your first fans? Well, I would say that that's a great place to start. And so let's not overlook the power of compounding that. And so basically, yeah, you do start with the people that you already know, your friends, your family members, and usually you can get them to come out to early shows or to support you in the early going. But also think of, who do you already know? Do you have a day job or maybe a former day job where you have a circle of friends? Do you have activities? You have bowling league? Do you I don't know? Do you belong to you go to a church or something where people know you? Where are your social networks? And so I do think it's important to start with people you know. However, you do want to get to the point quickly as you can, where people who are fans came to know you first as a musician, like they discovered you, maybe they came with a friend, or they just happened to come into a place where you're playing or stumbled upon you online, and they know you first as a musician, and then maybe they find out other stuff about you. Because it's true that the people that already know you maybe are a little bit too close to you, or they don't have that sort of allure, they don't think of you as a rock star or whatever because they know you in other ways. But their friends, their networks of friends can come into your world as a result of people sharing, their love for you. So this is some initial thoughts. I have some other things about that, but your thoughts first, Billy.
Well, it depends if you want to talk about getting fans that are face-to-face that, will come to your shows in your local scene, or if you're talking about trying to generate fans globally through social media. Those are somewhat related, but not exactly go hand in hand. But let's start locally. First thing I would do is, I'm a great believer in being seen, because if you're not going to be seen, nobody's going to know about you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you need to be out there as much as possible when you're first getting started. The ultimate thing you can do is find your open mics in the area and get out and see those, because for one thing, when you do open mics, you're going to be going to places where people are going to hear people, music, discover new talent, things like that. Now, many of the people in the audience are also going to be the other performers, and this is a golden networking opportunity to get to know them, and for their friends and family that come out to see them at the open mics to also network with them and maybe win some of their fans and followers over as your fans and followers. And then develop relationships with these musicians to maybe do some shows together where you both open up for each other, share information about where you can play other open mics, paying gigs, things like that. Also, when you do these type of events like open mics, usually the places that have them hire bands as well. And so it's a really good idea to start asking if those places need an opening act, or try and get some dates there where it's a place that is a music venue where people go to discover bands, and you can start building up there. Now, one thing that I was a part of when we were putting together a project a couple of years ago, we went to a place where nobody ever heard us. We had no fans at all, and we had a plan. We went to one of these. It was like 3 or 4 bands. Like one band got a gig, and they invited 3 other bands to be their opening acts for free, and we just kind of wanted to do it. But we went there with a strategy of using our cell phones and encouraging everybody that saw us there that night to take pictures, take selfies after the show, take vines, all the stuff. And we told everybody that we just launched a Facebook page, and we wanted everybody to go there and share all the stuff. And I mean, we went from 0 fans to like 60 fans in one night doing that. You know what I mean? Cool. So you have to be seen. So you need to start thinking about where can I be seen, and especially by people that are predisposed to what I did, what I'm trying to do. For instance, let's say you're a skater punk band. Well, I think you should maybe go to the local, skater punk hangout, clothes stores, the skateboard shops, things like that, surfing shops, whatever, and talk to them about possibly performing outside to attract attention, or leaving download cards at the table, at their counters, things like that. There's a myriad of ways. And also, don't forget doing in-store little concerts where you can invite people to your shows. Any place that is willing to let you come in and do an unplugged show, the local record store, the Goodwill, whatever there is, and just flat out busking, or not even busking, just, go around town if it's legal and plop down and play, get a crowd, and hand out your download cards, your business cards, your flyers, your whatever it is. So really, the best way locally to build up a fan base is to be seen, and to encourage the fans that you have now. This is really important. Encourage the fans that you make along the way to invite their friends and fans to become part of your family.
Yeah, I think that's a really important. I guess the point I was sort of leading up to, I didn't make it as much as I wanted, but this whole idea that each person also has a network of friends, and those friends have a network of friends. I remember when MySpace was all the rage. This was before Facebook and all that. It was one of the first sites that really took advantage of this networking, this friend. I think maybe it was the first time that friends became part of the vernacular. And that was the whole idea of you can get people to become your direct friend. You also had access to each one of them has a network of friends. So this works both in the digital world and in the real world. And so really that's why I think not overlooking your initial people that your friends and your family, you start there. I think you would agree with me. And I've seen this play out a lot. Your friends and your family will come out when something is new. They'll come out to those first couple of shows, but you might, again, maybe they're too close to you or whatever, but you might, after a while, they're going to stop showing up and for everything. And that's where you're hoping to draw in, those new people. But your friends of your friends who come may become fans of yours, and then if they bring their friends, it's just like it's basically a compound interest type of thing. You kind of keep building on whoever comes out and sees you, and encourage them to spread the word to their network of people. And you also mentioned another thing, playing out like early in a career. It's like you do everything. You say yes to every opportunity. Just get out there, get in front of as many people as often as possible. Once you gain traction and you have a fan base, then you begin to become more choosy about where you play and how often. Once you have a pretty sizable fan base, you actually purposely maybe play less often in a marketplace, so that when you do a show, it's really a big deal. You make an event out of it, and everybody comes out because that's the only time they're going to see you that month or whatever. But that's further on down the line. But at first, anything and everything, you just get out there, which is pretty much what you were saying, right?
Absolutely. And actually, that brings us up to our next question, which I totally forgot to tell you about. So I apologize for that. And I'm trying to find the folks that asked. I believe it was a band called Room 24, and if I got the name wrong, they're going to be very upset with me. So I'll check that out and see if I can get the name. But their question was, how often is too often to perform in the same area?
Right.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on that. I've got some thoughts on that myself, but I mean, how often is too often? I mean, is there such a thing?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what you're doing, and I assume that most of the people listening to this are playing their own, playing originals and trying to develop a career as an artist or a songwriter or something. Although I'm sure we have people that play in cover bands too that listen to this, because it's all music, it's all marketing. The same thing applies, just a different kind of approach. Quite often, if you are in a cover band, you're playing, and if you want to make a living doing it locally, you don't want to travel, you almost have to, gig out most weekends. You're playing different places. And I know for it's been years since I played the bar scene, but I know if you play different parts of town, even if you're playing every weekend, you tend to draw certain people to certain bars in their neighborhood and not to certain other, clubs. And so you can get away with that. But I remember also back in the 90s when in the heyday of sort of the St. Louis original music scene, there were some acts that would not burn the audience out. They might do 1 or 2 local shows a month, but man, when they did, they put a lot of energy into it and they packed the place. So I guess it really depends what and if you're touring, a lot of them also went on the road more, and so they would come back into town less frequently. So I've seen it work all different sorts of ways. But so I would appreciate your thoughts on that.
I don't think there's any such thing as burnout if you're giving the people new and different and unusual things and you're keeping them interested and entertained. I was told back when I was releasing 12 CDs in a year that was too many, and that people would lose interest and I'd burn them out. But during that period of time, that's when I sold the most CDs and the most songs. And it seemed like the more stuff I put out, the more people wanted.
Yeah.
I also believe in house gigs. I believe in, I had, at different points in my life, I had shows where I would play the same place every week or every Sunday night, or sometimes when I lived in Florida, 5 days a week at the same place for a year. You know what I mean? And what's interesting in fact, we have a mutual friend, Walt Pitts.
Yes. Walter, yes.
And you know what Walt does, right? You tell him what Walt does.
He's a great guitar player. He plays much of the time solo, and I assume he still has it. He's had it for several years, like a house gig. It's sort of a resort. Or a kind of a club, almost like a country club. They're outside of Phoenix, and it's not even a thing where he can invite the public to promote his gigs because you have to be a member to attend this club. But it's been a steady paying gig, and he plays anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 nights a week, depending on the season.
I know, isn't that amazing? So I believe from the bottom of my heart that you could play in the same town 7 nights a week, 52 weeks a year, if you are doing something worth seeing 7 nights a week, 52 weeks a year. See, that's the thing. In my genre, in the children's music world, there are a lot of people that, there are people that don't get hired back on a regular basis, even annually to some of these events I do, and a select few that they have all the time, every month or every year or whatever. And I happen to be in the select few because even though I'm providing a familiar face to the families and to the kids, my music is always changing, and the songs are changing, and the shtick is changing, and the look is changing, and it's always fresh. You know what I mean? And if you can provide a fresh experience, so it's a lot of work. But if you A/B it, do you want to be on the road constantly and doing the same thing to different people, or would you rather be doing different stuff for the same people and building that audience? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it worked for Van Halen. I mean, for years before they got their record label, they had a house gig. They played, the same place over and over and over every weekend for a long time. That ballroom they played.
Right. And so, it really depends on what your goals are. And so, if you don't want to travel and you like playing out live a lot, then, you're going to have to play more frequently. And, there is something to be said for the house gig, or, they know that every Monday night or whatever, they're going to see you at this place, or the second Thursday of every month, or whatever, whatever the schedule is. There was a friend of ours who for quite a while, there was this New Orleans style bar. I think I mentioned it in one of the early episodes, called Gulf Shores, and they had a different musician there every day of the week, and he would play the lunch for the lunch crowd, and he would come back and play a solo for the dinner crowd every Monday. And so that was his gig, Monday night, lunch and dinner. You could see Jeff playing at this particular restaurant, and that was a good run for him, steady money, and people knew, and he actually, a bunch of us came out and saw him on some of those Mondays. So it's really up to you. It's however you want to work it. And then also, and you don't have to I think there's something to be said for consistency. People know what they're going to see. So I don't know. I know you like to mix things up, but I don't think you necessarily have to vary it widely.
Well, no.
Yeah.
It's, one of the things I like to say about consistency in shows is when you watch a movie, let's say your favorite movie is, I don't know, Office Space, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get pretty ticked off if every time you watched a movie it changed.
Different characters.
Yeah, different dialogue. It was always different.
Ending.
Yeah, right. So familiarity is important. So I'd say, over the course of an extended time, there's always a good third of what I do is always the familiar must-have songs. A third is whatever I feel like doing, and a third is whatever they ask for. That usually works for me pretty well over the years.
I like that. I like the percentage. Read that one more time in case somebody missed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do 1/3 of the knockout hits, the stuff that you can't live without, right? Then do 1/3 whatever the heck you feel like doing, because you got to keep yourself interested and happy, and 1/3 whatever they ask for, if they requests or the other favorites, and that way you don't have to play the same favorites all the time. So yeah, it's a third of the must-haves, a third of the stuff to keep you sane, and a third of the stuff that the audience would like to hear that maybe you didn't put in that first third. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like that breakdown.
Yeah, that's always worked for me, and I've used that same formula in lots of different aspects. Like back when I was not doing children's music, we had a band. We consider ourselves an original band, but what was cool was we were playing all the places where the cover bands were playing, and the formula was actually the same. It was we would play 1/3 of the drop dead killer hits, whatever they were. That these are the songs that are popular. Brown Eyed Girl, whatever. Mustang Sally, etc. And then 1/3 originals. And so we did 1/3 super hits, 1/3 originals, and then 1/3 basically requests and other popular songs that the audience wanted to hear. And that's a great mix. If bands that want to have want to play originals and sell original CDs, still want to make money and play often, that's a really good formula.
Very, very cool. So something I just thought of something that I had intended to mention in our first segment about when you're starting from zero with a fan base. It kind of ties into what you're talking about too. But I wrote a blog post, I don't know, a year ago or something. It was called unknown artist, congratulations. So it was basically all these people that complain, nobody, I don't have any, what I need is a big fan base. But I actually said there's a lot of advantages to starting off small. In those early days when you don't have a big fan base, there's not as much pressure on you to have to hit a home run, and it's a great time actually to experiment with your set lists, and mix things up, experiment with the ways that you promote yourself, the places that you play. So it's, even though it's like frustrating because everybody wants to have success quicker, sooner rather than later, it's actually a time when you're free from the pressure of having to produce, and maybe you have a crew or something that you need to support. When you're the more successful you are, the more pressure it is to be successful every time you come out with something new. So enjoy those early days of just being free to experiment and play with things and see what works and what doesn't, and see what can we do this week to bring in a couple of new fans, and I think it's all about your mindset and how you approach it.
Absolutely. And before we run off today, I want to turn it over to iTunes. We finally got Music Marketing Monday on iTunes, and so yay, so you can get it there. And we would appreciate it if everybody would go over to iTunes today and give us a nice 4 or 5 star rating. Give it a 20-star rating. I don't think that's an option, but write it in. And
maybe if you click 4 times.
Yeah. And then please leave us a nice comment. And there's a few comments I'd like to give some shout outs to, and one even threw in a question for today, so we'll start there. The comment was one of the best, 5 stars by GB Music, and it says, you gotta love this, the bees are just fantastic. So I guess we're
Billy
the killer.
And Bob?
Yeah, we're the killer bees, right?
The killer bees. All right, I love it.
They have a relaxed style. Yeah, hey.
Relax. Wait, that's audio caffeine. That's anything but relaxed.
I know. It says they have a relaxed style that draws you in and keeps you listening.
Yeah.
If you're an indie musician, you will benefit from their experience and wisdom. You asked for topics. How about stage names? When to use one, manage one, and drop one. Have any thoughts on that, or you want me to take the lead?
Yeah, I basically, really the only time, like, and I assume they're talking about stage names for individuals, not bands, of
Correct.
course, or duos. And so, I would say if you have a really unusual name or last name, like I'm trying to remember what Kirk Douglas, his actual, real name was not something that flew off the tongue, was rolled off the tongue. Or if you have something that's confused, like actually Albert Brooks, the actor.
Yep.
His actual real name is Albert Einstein.
Are you
So
serious?
It was good for him to use a different last name because it would have been too damn confusing. So if you got a name that's similar to somebody else or it's just hard to pronounce, I mean, they're just, Bono and the Edge and, Slash and all these things. It depends on your genre. DJ name, whatever.
Well, for me, it was like Mr. Billy was a lot easier for children than Billy Gryzak, which is funny because Gryzak is just a mess anyway because it's Grisack, but the S is pronounced as a Z. Now, I didn't make this up. This is the way my parents taught me, okay? Right. So it's Gryzak, but it's pronounced like Grisack. But it's spelled like Grisack, so that's kind of weird. And then for years, I was just Billy Zach because, Zach sounded a lot more like my last name and it's just easy to spell. You know what I mean?
Rock too. That's
Billy Zach. Yeah. And then Mr. Billy, so we've been using stage names. It's really funny. I don't know if I ever told you, but, my family has been in the music business for like 100 years total now. And, my grandfather was Billy King. He was the crazy upright bass player, kind of like a Stray Cats kind of bass player.
Oh, nice.
in a big band. And my dad was Billy Dale, and he used to work with Rosemary Clooney. He did arrangements and charts for her. And
I didn't know this about him, I don't think.
And he played with Dizzy Gillespie, Stan Getz, and a bunch of big famous people, Tony Mottola. And then me, Mr. Billy Zach, whatever. And then, my son hasn't really adopted a stage name per se yet. So, although they have been calling him Tall lately because our new band that me and my son have is called Big and Tall. I'm big, he's tall. Okay. And people don't even call him Will anymore. It's like, where's Tall? Tell Tall to get over here. So he kind of adopted a stage name. But yeah, as far as I think it's really great to have a stage name if you do have an unusual or hard to pronounce name, things like that. However, if you are involved in certain types of genres of music or you're involved with the government or nonprofits and things like that, and you want to get listed in certain directories, check this out. They won't list your or certain organizations. Like, for instance, I belong to the Children's Music Network. I was actually a board member, and I used to have literal fights with these people. I mean, arguments because they wouldn't list me in anything as Mr. Billy, and that was my brand. I spent all this time being Mr. Billy, and they wouldn't list me as Mr. Billy because it's children's music. You have to use your real name in this organization. And also, if you list on any library websites, like you want to book yourself at libraries for summer reading for kids or even adult shows, they have like preferred entertainer lists, but they won't list your stage name. They list you by your real name. So that's something to consider too. So if you're going to use a stage name, that's cool. But or if you do it like a Department of Defense, DoD tours, things like that, which I've also done, no stage names. At least not on paper. So you got to be aware of those things if you're going to go down that road. Also, sometimes I feel kind of bad that like all the really cool things I've done in my life now at this point in my life, that's why I just start going back using Billy Gryzak, is because I can't go back and say, that's me. You know what I mean? Because I've got like 5 different names out there, so It just kind of depends what you think you need to do.
Right. And so, yeah, we have to thank all those people for leaving the comments. And just also another reason, if you want to help us out, I mean, the more ratings and comments that a podcast has, the more likely it is to come up in search results. And did it just get listed in iTunes, as a matter of fact?
Yeah, just recently, yes.
Because, the first month, I think that a new podcast is in the iTunes store, if we can get a lot of views and comments, it'll show up in new and noteworthy. So you could really help us out by subscribing and downloading rating, commenting in these early weeks, so other people will discover it as well.
Right, and we'll also give a shout out to Captain Jellybean, the two minds and experiences Bob and Billy bring if you're going to have a music career. This is a great show. Check it out. And then we recently just got one more. I just want to give a shout out to Ross Barber from Electric Kiwi.
Yeah.
And he says that we're motivational, educational, and entertaining. Billy Greisick and Bob Baker are two powerhouses in the world of independent music marketing. They've got almost 100 years of experience combined, and they are great at thinking outside the box and offering ideas and solutions that you won't find in your typical music marketing book or podcast.
100 years.
Yeah. These guys have a great rapport and energy, and there's always something to learn and take away from each episode. Highly recommend it. Thanks.
Nice. That's beautiful. I'm getting chills, man.
Yeah, me too. So awesome. So anyway, I think that kind of wraps it up for reader mail comments and things. We'd like to thank Daryl and everybody else for chiming in. Now, don't forget, a little bit later on this afternoon, if you're listening to the show on a Monday, we have our live Twitter chat, which, by the way, is growing every week. Have you noticed that, Bob? It's really...
it is. It's exciting.
Yeah, so if you want to chat in real time with me and when Bob can make it, and all of the other, oh, by the way, we always talk about networking and making fans and making friends. Well, this is a great way to do it. So meet us on Twitter. Use the hashtag MMMchat. Okay, so be there. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we do this every Monday for about an hour. And also you get an opportunity to plug yourself at the end of our chat, and everybody helps to share everybody's links, and we brainstorm and we talk about the subjects today that we talked about in the show today. And all week long, we keep the conversations going at MMM Chat on Facebook. And Bob, where can people reach you again?
TheBuzzFactor.com, TheBuzzFactor.com. And also, I just want to mention that I'm creating slowly but surely more and more online courses on a website called Udemy, and most of them are paid. They come with a fee, but I just posted a free course on Udemy called Music Marketing Demystified that people can sign up for. And I guess you can go to udemy.com. It's UDEMY.com.
Did you say
Cool.
that was free?
The Music Marketing Demystified is free. Just a little. It's a series of interviews I did in Nashville, like that total like a half an hour, and with like over a lot of music marketing basics. And yeah, I'm giving that one away free. But the other courses like holiday music marketing and music publicity insider's guide and so on are well worth a small investment.
Fantastic. And we are also looking for your input on what are some of the things that you need help with in your music career. Like, are there any particular services, any products, any one-on-one coaching ideas? We love to find out what it is you guys really need and help find it for you. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you.
Absolutely.
So let us know what you need, and we'll do our best to find that product, that service, that book. Whether
we'll cover it in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, whether it's something that we do or somebody else does, man, we're all in this together. So anyway, find me at where am I? Oh yes, musicmarketingmind.com or on Twitter at musicmarketmind. I think we're done here.
We are. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. See you on the Twitter chat or next week with another episode.
We had mail.
We had mail. So long.
Bye-bye.
Are you still there? Excellent! Now would be a good time to visit hostbaby.com for your free 30-day trial. Of course.